Oh, you look much better than me.
Well, I'm a very handsome man. I don't know.
You really are.
Yeah.
um,
Oh my!
no,
I should have shaped my beard up a little bit. What's going on, everybody? What's up?
All right. You look like a floating head because you have a
I
black
feel like
shirt
a
on.
floating head. Look at that.
Because you have a black shirt on.
Yeah.
Are you good with it?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
What's going on, everybody?
Rocky staying in here?
I don't care. Whatever she wants to do. God. I look much better on TikTok, guys. I'm just going to say, what's going on, everybody? Y'all doing all right today? What's up, Bobby? I'm trying to go live on the tube of you while I'm doing this. And I feel funny because this is inverted, right? So this is what I see when I look into the mirror, right? However, what I see over here is not inverted. And so this is what all you guys see. And I'm like, man, is my hat always crooked? Yeah, apparently it is. And you know what? It doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel right. Hey, Bobby, how are you today? What's everybody up to, man? What do y'all want to argue about today? How about that? It's been a long day. What do you mean a long day? It's only 10 o'clock, 11, I guess. I don't know. I slept in this morning. I slept in till 6. Hey, thanks for the heart me there, wife. You better be giving me a heart me. So, trying to get this YouTube thing to grow a little bit. Dude, am I right, Jonathan? Man, making thinking great again would be fantastic. Ooh, it's a little early for that. I mean, we can work on it. We can work on improving thinking, maybe, perhaps. I think it just you have to come at it with an ideology of that I know nothing, that everything I know is not right. But that's why we have AI. Isn't that correct, man? That's absolutely right, dude. People are people are crazy. We put so much stock in AI, but you can't believe AI because AI will lie to you. AI will tell you things that are patently false because it wants to please you. If you've ever met a people pleaser, AI is that on steroids. That's what AI is. Um, you can ask it the dumbest question it's ever possibly imagined, and AI is going to go ahead and it's going to be like, well, that was a fantastic question. Let's see if we can dig into that a little bit. It just tells you what you want to hear. That's all it does. That's why my wife loves AI so much. Absolutely. That's why my wife loves AI so much. Yeah. I feel like it does. And there's a lot of people that believe that AI is probably going to end up eating itself just because it's not very profitable right now. They're trying to force it, and it isn't just like taking off and becoming profitable like they expected it to. Um, I'm I'm a little on the other side though. Um, I think we'll either run out of resources or um, end up, messing ourselves up, throwing us back into the Stone Ages before AI can reach its full potential. I mean, you think about it these days, kids never experience boredom. They have no reason to experience boredom. Every second of their time is consumed with some form of fashion of technology and entertainment. I remember as a kid growing up in the country out in the middle of nowhere, I had to find ways to entertain myself. There's a lot of mischievous shit that I did, don't get me wrong. However, I was still able to go out and do things, and it spurs something in you, you know. I was reading an article the other day and it talked about video games, Gen Xers video games versus Gen Z's video games. And they make some really good points because with Gen Z, their video games, they get multiple tries, they get saves, they get, they have never ending games. Whereas we had quest games. Yes, absolutely. You want to be on its good side. But we had quest games. So you'd start out with 3 lives. And once those lives were done, if you didn't have any extra, then you had to start all the way over back at the beginning. Yeah. Whereas kids today have autosave. When they die in a video game, they pick right back up. We had the Oregon Trail. That's right. And you don't want to mess with dysentery. You don't want to get caught dysentery because but it taught you patience. It wasn't instant gratification. You had to learn to play the game better. You had to learn to make sure that you were going through the game strategically in a manner with which you had to realize how much resources you had. And these kids don't have that. They can buy skins that give them advantages in these games now. All these games are pay to play. If you want to win, all you got to do is pay. And that's what they do. The kids that are dominating those games, though, are the kids that understand how those things work. Those are the kids that are going in and being like, okay, a computer game, yeah. Which I mean, I was talking about the console games, but it's the same way on the computer games. We had a limited amount of resources, i.e., lives, things like that, and you had to learn and practice. And let's say you got to the fourth level, third stage of it, whatever, and then you died, you had to start all over if that was your last life at the very beginning. So you got really good at those first 3 or 4 levels going up, and then when you got to the really hard stuff, it was prepping you for that. And I remember there were games that I would start, and if I lost a life early on, I would I'd just turn it off and turn it right back on, start over, start fresh. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. Anybody else do that? Anybody else go in and just start a game over fresh because you died too early? Oh God, dude, I love Elden Ring. I love all the Souls games. My favorite Souls game though is Bloodborne. Uh, I have I have ran through Bloodborne so many times. Caleb the Wonder Bear. Yeah, Contra did. I didn't play a whole lot of Contra. I really didn't. I played this game called Stinger, and nobody knows Stinger. I get it. Nobody knows Stinger, but you're just in a ship and you're just shooting things that come and go. It's coming at you. Oh, dude, I absolutely do love hack and dash. The thing is, you got to learn how to parry. You know, shields are pointless in any of the Souls games. To be honest with you, I played Dark Souls. Um, any of the Souls games, they would offer you a shield, and it was just you didn't get rewarded for a shield. There was no advantage to having a shield at all. So um, let's see, I think it was Demon Souls was the first game that came out from Soft. Yeah, dude, and they're fantastic. A lot of times they're slower, but once you get your timing down on them, and it's really hard to parry with something like that. Um, oh, I'm trying to remember what the name of that one weapon is that I used to love on Bloodborne, but it's just a big rock, and you stab a sword in it, and then you pull it out, and you're wielding this big rock. Um, and it's so big, like when you would swing, like do like the one thing I do love is the weapon art in the Souls game. So when you pull up and you're swinging this and you transfer from a one-handed to a two-handed while you're in fighting mode, there's these transitions. Oh, that spinning spike wheel is freaking phenomenal, dude. It is. Logarius's wheel is the name of it. Sorry, guys, if y'all were looking for politics, I guess I've gotten on video games today. So, but yeah, man, Logarius's wheel was tough, man, and the weapon art on that is absolutely phenomenal. It is harder to learn how to use, though. It's one of those things. If you don't, if you can't just smash buttons on that, you kind of got to know where you're going from, and then you got to understand your timing on it too, because it is very powerful. And when you use your, when you use all your, what do they call it, runes and everything properly, it's like a Mack truck, but it's slow as shit. There's a big wind up when you're wheeling this big wheel around. But yeah, man, fantastic. That is too much weight. Absolutely too much weight. Um, I did a run through on Dark Souls 3 one time with some buddies, and we did what we called our God game. We all created characters that looked like different gods. I was Odin. One buddy was Zeus. Someone else was Kirstna, and who's the other one? Can't remember who the other one was, but anyway, we all had certain powers and whatnot, and we would run 4 through at a time. It could have been. It wasn't Ares. Who was it? Let's see. Uh, no, it was Shiva. I'm sorry, it was Shiva. Shiva, destroyer of worlds. Yes, and um, it was a phenomenal playthrough. But we were all so overpowered. The thing is, when you go through those Souls games and you can go into groups, like you can go into my world, I'll drop a finger, you can come into my world, and then we can beat this boss and we all level up quite a bit. I know, right? You're right, 100%. So you go in and you just crush this boss now because it's 4-on-1, even though it nerfs you quite a bit when you go in, but you're thinking about 4 people versus a boss versus 1. So it absolutely does. And then, you level up so high, you just become OP. You just become insanely OP. So, Caleb, we done got everybody's left. They're like, oh God, this is 2 nerds talking in here. Yeah, that's pretty much what I've heard. I haven't got to play it yet. I haven't got to play in a long time, to be honest with you. Uh, my sons have PS5s, and so I can't get anybody to play Bloodborne with me because it's not updated on the PS5. I mean, you can play it on the PS5, but they would rather spend their money on something else. Skyrim's cool. I don't have a problem with Skyrim. I've played Skyrim before. To be honest with you, though, those open world games like that, like Skyrim, they're never ending, though. Just, I mean, I know you can beat the game, whatever, but it's just so long. I like a designated quest. One of my favorite games was God of War. as far as just a smash and grab type game. God of War. Good morning, Journey. Um, Smash and grab games. God of War, the last God of War game, I tried to go through it on God of War mode because I thought it was awesome. Yeah, Elder Scrolls Online. Those DLCs are insane. They're nice. They really are. Um, Everybody taunts the new Souls game is coming out as being the next Bloodborne or the sequel to Bloodborne, whatever. You're not going to ever get a Bloodborne sequel, but they did do a good job on their DLC and their um, the DLC was Bloodborne was a hard game, is a hard game. However, the DLC turns it up like 3 notches. It's ridiculous. I tried to play God of War on God of War mode, and I couldn't get past the first part of it. That's how insanely difficult that game was. However, my son went through and platinumed it on God of War mode. Kids are much better. Oh, thanks, Journey. Kids are so much better. Wow, thank you. Um, Kids are so much better at doing that than we are, or at least my kids are. Journey, stop. You're killing me. Oh my God, dude. Yeah. The only reason that I bought a PlayStation back in the day was to be able to play God of War. Period. Point blank. Thank you, Journey. I appreciate it. Yeah, I was all Xbox at that time, and I played a ton of COD, Black Ops. I played all those games, and then get online with your friends. We chuck it up, say horrible things to strangers online, and and I played with some. I had some really good guys that were in my on my team that were like they would play the competitions. Do you remember when Xbox used to have the competitions where you would have Journey? You're spoiling me. When they would have those competitions on there where you could win like a big screen TV or $1,000 cash or something like that. And I had a couple of guys that were local to this area that were constantly winning those competitions in thank you, Journey. Um, Constantly winning those competitions. And I was like, how are you guys doing this? And they were just good at it. One of my buddies told me his key to success on any of those games, like first person shooter games, was to use a small computer monitor. Because he was like, it's easier. It's easier if I use a small computer monitor because everything's right there. If I see something, boom, it's a quicker turn to shoot. And I was playing on like a 60-inch TV. And I'm like, he probably had better internet than I did too because he didn't have any kids at the time. All right, guys. Sorry, I'll break away from the video game chatter. Just to let you guys know that I'm also live on my channel on the Tube of You. If any of you guys want to go over there and check that out, I'm going to say this: I'm much better looking on this screen than I am on that screen. This screen over here has got me all jacked up because it's not inverted. So I'm looking at what you guys see, and I'm like, God, I'm sorry, guys. I wish I were better looking. I wish I were better looking. Is everybody having a good weekend? The Kirk hammer. That's what it's called. It's called the Kirk hammer. That's the big rock that you pick up and use. Oh, hey, thanks there, Tearaway. I appreciate it. I hope the same for you, man. I just want everybody to be getting along. I want everybody to get along, and I feel like there's a huge division going on right now. Did you see the truth? Yeah. Well, look, man, scales will lie to you too. It's just one metric to show what your fitness levels are. I'm just kind of hanging out. To be honest with you, I've been trying to go live every day on. This is my new account here. I got bananaed on my other account, so I'm trying to grow this account a little bit. Maybe get some new faces in here. Um, I like I say, trying out this going live on the tube of you. I've got one person in there right now, and I know that person. So, um, oh, bro, hey, look, here's the thing, man. Our food is not meant to keep us in good shape. I don't want to sound like one of those tinfoil hat guys, but to be honest with you, the amounts of food that we have that are more easily accessible are terrible for us. It's making us sick. Oh, beer. Yeah, bro. I feel you on that. I haven't drank in a long time, and that is a couple of reasons. One, I'm a diabetic. I'm insulin dependent diabetic, so anytime I drink a lot, then I start getting my blood sugar rises, and then I did a bodybuilding contest last December. I got my ass kicked for 45 minutes. I am not as in as good a shape. Oh, dude, that's not good. That's not good at all. How old are you, if you don't mind my asking there, Caleb? 35? Yeah, I hear you, man. Definitely the time to get that shit under control, bro. I'm 47, and I can't imagine that. I just I can't imagine how my life would be, how much worse off I would be if I have not stopped when I was about your age. Yeah, life sucks, but then the concept of continuously drinking doesn't make it much better. But here's the thing: you can't listen to some yahoo like me preach at you, because you got to do it because you want to do it. You have to want to do it for you, whether you're single or married with kids or whatever it is, whatever, life situation you've got going on. I look at it like this: we've only got one life. you know Nothing is promised, not even tomorrow, so why not make today the best day that we can possibly make it? And sometimes you got to do the uncomfortable stuff, and that's stop drinking. Look, I do love me some beer, don't get me wrong, but I just hated the way I felt after I drank. Like the next day I felt terrible. Felt lethargic, you know and I realized that it wasn't actually benefiting me. um it affected my sleep, it affected my weight, it affected just my overall energy level. If you drink too much, it'll drive your testosterone down and elevate your estrogen level. Seen way too many guys with a beer belly and man titties. No offense, just saying. Once I got back into the gym and got back into being healthy and things like that, I realized that I didn't need to drink anymore. Um, and I'll be honest with you, as far as an anti-anxiety medication, I couldn't prescribe anything more than I do exercise, getting moving, doing something, running, man. I'll be honest with you, people are like, "Oh, running sucks." It does suck, but it's a constant competition that you have with yourself. Okay, I ran a mile today, and in 2 days, I'm going to run a mile and a half, and I'm going to try to not lose any time. You start getting into those patterns of well, God, I got to get up and run tomorrow. Make it a I've got to thing instead of, if I feel like it. Like you said, I got to stop drinking. Well, how about we just start saying, I gotta get up and go to the gym. I got to do that. And then have a little bit of grace on yourself, because anytime somebody starts something and they falter the first time, it's in it's not an indictment if you mess up. It's not an indictment. Oh, hey guys. Hey Bobby, how's it going? Thanks for coming over to my channel, guys. I've got some other people come into my YouTube channel over here. It's fantastic. So I just released another podcast the other day. I did a podcast with, and you can find that on Apple Music, Spotify, the Tube of You, and Substack. Check it out. I had a great guest on, very educated guy.
Hey, Dave, you're frozen. Hang on a second.
Hey, apparently I'm frozen over here on the ticky tack. Oh, it's the wrong side. Look at there. There's my little meter.
You might need to restart over on YouTube or on TikTok. You're frozen.
Oh, okay. How about this, guys?
You're back.
Hey, what's going on? Hey, William Gonzalez. Dude, I couldn't agree with the comment better. Sorry, guys. I had no idea I was frozen. I apologize. My executive producer was not producing very well. Yeah, William, dude, you are in a safe space, man. Yeah, got all kinds of comments here. Sorry, guys, I didn't know I was frozen. I was like, man, these guys are really quiet today. Yeah, my wife was over on my YouTube page. I'm also streaming over there right now. So if I turn over here and talk, I'm trying to keep up with both chats. So yeah, William, something does have to change, and I'm hoping. Look, I feel like we do have hope. I feel like it is up to us. It is still we the people, right? So when we talk about we the people, we think about, well, who can we get in there? We have to stop voting down party lines. Period, point blank. And I preach this all the time, but I want it to hit home with people, and I want people to realize that the more that we go through and say, oh, well, I've got to vote for this person because they're a Republican, and they do not care about your ideologies. They don't. What they do care about is lining their pockets in the positions of power that they are given. And we give those people the powers of authority. If we can blame anybody, we have to blame ourselves at some point or another. We need to be more united, absolutely. But all they do is sow division, and they sow division because by sowing division, it allows them to keep power, to continue to hold that power. If they can vilify the other side, then they're going to continue to get the same people, bringing them into to positions of power. And one of the first things that we need to start doing is vetting the people who are trying to earn our vote better, right? So if you're running a grassroots campaign, there's a greater likelihood, and I'm not saying that it's 100% likelihood, but there's a greater likelihood that you are going to you're going to work for the people that got you in office. Lightning Thief, go shut your. Anyway, that's my son. you have to look at these people and see who's paying for their campaigns, who's trying to buy their vote while they're still trying to earn our vote. Does that make sense? Yeah, Lightning Thief, you did miss me talking about video games. So when I try to platform people, when I go and I do a podcast, I try to get people on. Yes, the rich, of course, it's the corporate lobbyist. We were talking about Bloodborne in Souls games. You have to look at the corporate lobbyist, and when, let's say, Walmart backs a candidate, do you honestly think that Walmart wants that guy to make sure that Walmart is paying people a living wage? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. They want to make sure that their status quo is still met. They want to do everything they can to protect their shareholders because it's the shareholders that they're working for. Hey, Red Hot, how's it going? Hey, guys, I'm also streaming over here on my YouTube channel if anybody wants to come over and give it a look. It's the first time I've ever streamed over here. I got a couple of folks over here chit-chatting with me. So if I'm talking over here, I'm not ignoring you, okay? Greed's the beast, duh. Yeah, thanks. Straight out. Always coming in hot, man. Always coming in hot. I don't mind straight out. I really don't. It's somebody that I can engage with in conversation, not necessarily somebody that I always agree with. But it's always somebody that I can engage with. I don't mind having people that have a differing opinion than mine. It's just like one of our it's just like one of the commenters said earlier, we need to get rid of some of this division that we've got. A vast majority of this division we need to get rid of. This division's killing us because it should be we the people, but it's not. It's we the oligarchy telling everybody else how to spend their money or whatever. We're just coming through from the holidays, and you got to think about this is the best time of the year for large corporations. They're making money hand over fist, and why? Because we have propagandized I'm not trying to battle Lightning Thief. We're commercializing Christmas to the point to where families are going out of debt, going into debt. So what do you mean perspective and sacrifice? So what kind of sacrifices are you thinking that people should need to be making? Do you think that Trump is making those sacrifices for us? Do you think that Trump is doing these things to better our lives or to better him and his buddies' lives? Y'all aren't the no corner, Bobby. Oh, so capitalism does create jobs. It does. But how are our jobs doing right now? I think we're at a 4.6% unemployment rate. We were at 4.1 under Joe Biden this time last year. I mean, are jobs better? Do we have more jobs? Is our economy growing? Yeah, William, you're right. Well, how would you act though, Straight? How would you act on that? Do they pay a living wage? Do they pay a livable wage? I'm just asking. Isn't that why we have unemployment? Because there's a bunch of open jobs out there. Is that what it is? People are just unwilling to work. Because I don't necessarily believe that people are unwilling to work. So let me ask you something, Paul. Do you think that we should? Do you think we should continue with the privatized healthcare? Or would you rather see a universal healthcare system in this country? Because personally, I think we should have universal healthcare. I think we should. I think the only reason that we don't have universal healthcare is because of the lobbyists in the insurance industries. Oh yeah, Straight. We agree on most of these issues here. It's top versus bottom. I think we should have universal health care. I look at other countries that have universal health care. We pay for Israel's universal health care. We support these other countries. We're throwing out 40 billion to Argentina to what end? I was actually in the Army during 9/11 when that happened. We should have universal health care. I think the vast majority of Americans. I need Jesus Christ. Well, a lot of things, Straight, a lot of things have happened ever since 9/11. One of the biggest kicks to the teeth of the common American is the fact of Citizens United in 2010, and Straight, we agree on all this stuff. They also have to your point there, they have a healthcare worker crisis, but they also have a longer life expectancy than we do. Why is that? They also have fewer people going bankrupt over medical bills. The largest cause of bankruptcy in the United States is healthcare cost. Straight, again, preaching to the choir on this. Yes, I agree with you, Bobby. Capitalism exacerbates inequality, exploiting labor, causing environmental damage, and prioritizing profit over human welfare, leading to issues like lack of access to essential services. Yes. Yeah. I don't care about the weather report either. So what are you going to do? You said you would, but one person can't do that altogether, right? So what weapon do you have, Straight, that would help you in order to do that? Would you be able to? Um, you can't just, I don't think you're Chuck Norris. Oh, I appreciate it. Do we need to reform our education system? Is that what we need to do? Think we should reform our education system? I think reforming our education system would be a good start. Oh yeah, yeah. I was all right. I'm gonna call you up. Don't say anything crazy, or I'll have to drop you down. All right. I'll give you 5 minutes. What's up, man?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Real quick, What's this one? I'll drop him. Shut up. Who's this fucking Rachel White bitch talking shit already?
Yep, that's my wife. So be
You
careful.
better shut the fuck up. I'll drop you, you piece of shit.
Fuck, I can't even fucking express myself with a fucking bitch trying to come over the top of me. What the fuck is this? Does she wear the pants in your house? Tell her to shut the fuck up. What?
Drop him. Damn. Dude. I don't know. I said, be respectful, dude. No, I'm not a coward, man. I'm not going to sit here and listen to you cuss my wife. I'm sorry. Yeah. Anyway, so he's blocked. Oh, that happens all the time, guys. It's not a big deal. People come up and they try to get me mad, try to get me going. I'm pretty calm. So then they try to get me uncalm by talking shit to my wife. I don't know. Anyway, so we were having a conversation about healthcare cost. I mean, think about it. We have a huge amount of people who are absolutely Jesus's teachings are woke. Oh, thanks, lovely. I appreciate it. Bobby, no one's ever got on top. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I actually got 2 restrictions on that. Let me see what I got restrictions on.
That was my fault.
Harassment and bullying. Harassment and bullying. I got 2 for harassment and bullying. Thanks, Rachel. Heal the sick, feed the poor. Absolutely. Let's do that. Let's start doing that. How could we help heal the sick? Is it possible that we could provide them with healthcare services to where they're not going bankrupt? That's what I want. That's what I want. I want universal health care. I feel like we're getting taxed on absolutely everything right now. Everything we could possibly be taxed on right now, we're getting taxed on, right? And not to mention, we're also throw in some tariffs there. So now the cost of things are going up, you know?
Yeah, restart.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to restart this live, guys. I'll be right back. Dude called me a coward for dropping him for cussing my wife. Get the out of here.
Dude, I knew better. He tried to mind his P's and Q's to get to come up. He has been in your live the last 3 days, and he's been an asshole, and I've muted him.
You tell somebody, don't say anything crazy. And the first thing he does is say something crazy. Yeah.
He knew exactly who I was.
Oh, he did. He did. So I'm back. Has he lost his mind? Ain't no one on top of that dude ever. Oh my God, Bobby, that was so great. What's going on, guys? Hey, I'm back. I had to drop and come back up. we had some unpleasantries happen. A dude like called my wife everything you're not supposed to call some dude's wife, and then called me a coward for dropping him. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's why it's hard for me to pull people up, and then reports me, and has I end up getting restricted, and so then I have to reset my live. Happy Honda days, everybody. Happy fucking Honda days. So those of you that's coming in, just to let you guys know, I'm also on my YouTube channel doing live. And thank you for loving my live, Rachel. You should. That was wild ass behavior. That's why I'm trepidatious about letting people come up, because somebody's going to try to say something out of pocket. And then when they say something out of pocket, yeah, well, you're in there yelling. Everybody can hear you yelling, "Hey, you piece of shit." I was like, okay, here we go. Here we go. Thanks, Nikki. So yeah, oh my goodness, fun times. And I'll be honest with you, it's really hard for me not to get mad. So that's actually how my last account got bananaed, and why I'm on this account. My backup is because, thank you for my heartbeat, Nikki. Is because some guy got on there knowing full well that was my wife and said some very hurtful, hateful things. And did you get banned too, Thumbie? Oh my God. See, yeah, thank you for the heartbeat, brother. Yeah. And so I let him know about it. And then all of a sudden, I'm off. That's why I'm on my YouTube right now, guys. That's why I'm on my YouTube right now. I'm on YouTube live too. So, it has been wild. And what's crazy is people can say, I've been in a few, I've gone traipsing through some of the MAGA lives, and yeah, Brian, I do realize that. I don't know where that came from, but I enjoy your input. But you have to think about asylum and where asylum comes from the outset, though. If you're talking about someone who's coming over at a country and they've got all these, thank you, William, I appreciate it. You got to question, though, why do we have so many asylum seekers? And I think a large part of that has to be because of terrible foreign policy done by the U.S. And I'm not talking about specifically this president or specifically the last president. I'm talking about the presidents since 1950. I'm talking about bad foreign policy where the United States has muddled, put their fingers in the pies of other countries. And when you're doing that, you're going to create disruption. When people don't have stability, then everything is harder for them. Do you understand that? So taking in case in point, Iran, right? Iran is not somebody who is, yeah, their lives are nasty. I've been in a few of them here lately, and it's terrible. We have our own problems to deal with. We have a homeless crisis. We have a healthcare crisis in this nation. We have, for a country that aspires to be the wealthiest country in the world, we can't even take care of our own citizens, you know? And 38 trillion in debt. Yeah. And how do we do that? We don't solve that problem by tariffing every nation, every import that comes in here. That's not how we're going to solve that problem. We need to first solve that problem by watching how we're spending, you know? If we would monitor our spending and spend it appropriately, then I don't think we would have so much of these issues here. And look, again, I'm not putting that just on one person. It's been a lot. It's been throughout the years. It's not just one. Look, I can blame Trump for a lot of shit that's going on right now. I really can. However, I look at the oil and gas situation right now. Yeah, gas is cheap right now, but it's going to be something that's going to, when OPEC finally decides that they've depleted our oil and gas, they're gonna decrease production. No, it's that's not solving the problem either. What point? What point did I pivot on there, Brian? Go back. Sorry, I get to not intentional. It wasn't an intentional pivot. It is both their fault. I'll say this. Why can't we have single issue votes? Okay, then maybe you've got to vote on something harder. Maybe you've got to work harder to get one thing passed through. Right. There is a credible fear of persecution. Absolutely. What about the Haitians coming over? Do you not think that they don't have a rational fear of persecution? Oh, I'm not going to disagree with that, but what I am going to say is that with the Biden-Harris administration, we did have the border shut off for a long time. We can agree on that, right? And so now we've got a funneling issue. Now we have an infrastructure issue. We have the normal amount of people that are typically brought through. You don't believe that the borders were closed down at all during the Biden-Harris administration during the pandemic? You think we should just keep it closed? Not let anybody in, regardless of their status, asylum seeking, or anything like that, right? I think one of the problems is, and I think a lot of people get confused with this, and I'm not saying that you are, but with the asylum process, we don't have the infrastructure to handle the amount of people coming in for asylum seekers, right? Right, but one of the things that's not going to help us is getting rid of federal judges that specifically work on immigration and asylum cases. We should bolster that infrastructure there to be able to help process more thoroughly. Wouldn't you agree? Wouldn't that be a better solution than just shut it off? I'll be honest with you, most of the people that come over here that I've worked with do. Well, it's money we don't have still yet. We put on a bunch of $50,000 signing bonuses for 18-year-old kids to be able to wear a mask and pretend to be ICE agents. Do you see where that's equally, that makes it even worse, in my opinion? I'm going to say this: as far as the Hispanic community goes, I am a maintenance man by trade. I've worked with Hispanic people the vast majority of my adult life, and I've never met a harder working group of people in our society than the Hispanic culture. And I've never met a more family oriented culture in my time. I might have missed your first comment there on that, Brian. So when I look at the Hispanic community, why is it that, I mean, and honestly, what about MS-13? What about the Crips and the Bloods? What, I mean, like, we're talking about gangs, right? We're talking about gangs. Don't we have an infrastructure in place to deal with that? Right. So if ICE were doing things constitutionally, I would agree with you on that. However, I don't see it as being constitutional when you can violate someone's Fifth and 14th Amendment right. I haven't really ran into them. I try to avoid gangs, period, point blank. So it's that violation of the Fifth and 14th Amendment. Hey, thanks for coming in, Brian. I appreciate the convo, man. Well, I would say we all need to think. I'm not a Democrat, and that's the mistake a lot of people make. Either people assume that I'm MAGA based on my physical aesthetic, or they listen to me and they assume that I'm a Democrat. Why is that? Why can't we all just be Americans and try to think about and do what's best for the American people, regardless of what number you put behind your name? You don't think so? What? Look, here's the thing. I try not to I try not to associate with people doing nefarious things. All right, Stoner. Well, to be honest with you, Prayer Warrior, I think voting Republican, voting Democrat, voting down party lines is what has destroyed this country to begin with. We have a huge division in this country, and it's based on you guys putting on jerseys. Like you put on your little red MAGA hat and I'm Republican, yeah. All you're doing is the will of the overlords that are suppressing us right now. That's all you're doing. 100%. That's all you're doing. Why not vet the person that you're voting for instead of just assuming because they're a Republican that they're going to do right by you? Because how's that worked out for you so far? And as far as economies go, Republicans have had far worse luck managing the economy than Democratic leadership has. If you look at all the metrics that determine the value of an economy, Democrats surpassed that in this century by far. Voting, we have to vote. And again, I go back to the same point that I've been making for the past year and a half. We've got to stop looking at the R and the D. We have to look at who these people are. Most importantly, what we have to look for is I'm not a Democrat. I am a left-leaning person, I guess you could say, but I'm not a Democrat. But I mean, you can categorize me, you can put me in a little box that makes you feel comfortable if that's what you want to do. But I was just stating facts here. I'm calling balls and strikes. Republicans have been terrible for the economy, period, point blank. Prime example, look at the economy that George W. handed to Barack Obama. And look at the economy that Barack Obama handed to Donald Trump. Would you say that Trump received a better economy than Obama did? I would say so. And yeah, you could go back to Reagan. Reagan started a lot of this, the issues that we see today. His trickle-down economics, his tax cuts to the wealthy and to the corporations. What seemed to work there for a little bit actually didn't. It just increased building the wealth up to the top. Absolutely, Gunny. They do. They vote straight down party lines, and that's what we need to stop doing. That's what I'm preaching. That's my sermon. This is my message from the pulpit, guys. Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I've voted for Republicans in the past. I've voted for Democrats in the past. Trump did better than Obama on the economy? Jesus, dude. I'm sorry, sir. You have, Pete, you have slipped through a wormhole in space-time continuum, and you have slipped into an alternate universe where that here is not the case. It's not a fact. Show me the Carfax. I mean, look, I'm not going to pull up a bunch of facts right now. Why was he so bad? Why was Obama so bad? He pulled us out of the Great Recession that Bush got us into. What was it? Was it 7 straight quarters of job growth and GDP under Obama right before he passed it on to Trump? Trump was handed a bolstering economy. I'm being for real. You can look this up. These are numbers that are there. All the information of the world is right there at your fingertips. Pelosi didn't create that recession. Now, look, I'm going to say this. I don't like Pelosi at all. At all. I don't like any of them, to be honest with you. I'm trying to tell you guys to stop voting down party lines, but you are so dead set on it. You are 10 toes into, nope, I've got to vote Republican. Instead of vetting the candidates that are running right now, instead of looking for candidates that are running on a grassroots foundation, candidates that aren't being paid by the corporate lobbyist or the super PACs, you are so concerned with whether they have an R or a D beside their name that you will forego your best interest just to spite your face. How about we try this? Has it been shitty for the past 40 years? Yeah, it kind of has. Has Americans' values and worth shifted from having a good strong middle class to now we're living in an oligarchy? Yeah, it has. And why do you think that is? Do you think it's because we've been voting for Democrats? Do you think it's because we've been voting for Republicans? And I say to both questions, yes, because you're voting for the wrong Democrats and you're voting for the wrong Republicans. What you should be doing is voting for people who are trying to work for you and me and who are not accepting corporate money. We have to get the corporate money out of politics. And how do we do that? Trump was already rich and you believed him when he said that he was going to work for you. Let me ask you something. Did Trump have more wealth before he got in office or after he got into office? Is Trump wealthier now than before he got into office? Oh, now see, you're just being willfully ignorant. He is 100% wealthier now. And when I say 100%, I don't mean that as an actual percentage. I'm not talking Trump numbers here. I'm talking about legit. Dude, he made more money in his first term off of Mar-a-Lago. It was a grift. Him saying he's not taking a paycheck was an absolute grift. He was making money hand over fist. He's made more money this year in the 11 months that he's been in office just from selling presidential pardons. This guy is selling presidential pardons and you're totally oblivious to it. Thanks for the follows, guys. Thanks for the gifts. I appreciate it. I'm not wrong. It's backed up. I have proof. And you do too. You just deny to see it. You can't see it because you are so let me ask you something. How much Trump merchandise do you own? Do you have a hat? Yes. Nicki Minaj getting up there and waxing poetically about how great Trump is, oh my God. It's ridiculous. It's insane. Hold on, I'm trying to get my. All right, so you can go to the U.S. Department of Justice. They didn't sell pardons for crypto. There was no point where where Biden or Obama held a crypto buy-in dinner with which a woman who bought the $1 million plate for that son didn't end up getting pardoned just a couple weeks later. What about Biden's son? Why are y'all always coming up here talking about what about Biden? I didn't say there was evidence that he sold it for cash, Billy Lemons. I said Trump sold pardons, presidential pardons, for cryptocurrency. Why are y'all glazing Trump's donut, man? Y'all are glazing Trump's donut so hard, man. I didn't even vote for Biden, so miss me with that. But I will say this about Biden. I didn't vote for him, but I will say he did pass quite a bit of bipartisan legislation, which is something that Donald Trump has been ineffective at doing. Donald Trump cannot pass bipartisan legislation. That's why he writes so many executive orders. He's pretty much impotent when it comes to getting actual laws passed. Hey, attack me, guys. Don't attack my guest or my chat. Oh my goodness. Sorry, I've got like 4 screens up here, so it's taking me a little bit while. Yeah, executive orders aren't laws, by the way. Hey, Ro, how's it going? Dude, I'm on my phone. I'm on my computer on YouTube right now, and I'm also up here on this screen. I've got another screen that I can't get plugged in because I've got too much shit plugged into one thing. The auto pen. What is y'all's deal with the auto pen? Oh, let me see. What news source is this? It doesn't matter. You guys listen to Fox News, so it doesn't matter. So first and foremost, with some of these, I am going to say this. Trump did void tens of millions of dollars in reparations payments to the victims of the people that he pardoned. Some of these people were actually pardoned, pled guilty to the crimes. That's real. And all you have to do, guys, and look, there's a ton of shit up here. I can read that. I'm not glazing the left. What I'm doing is I'm triggering your cognitive dissonance by disagreeing and pointing out the errors that Donald Trump has made. That is calling it down the middle. It's just you're so far on one side of it that you don't get it. When have you said he did anything well? God. So I will say this. There were things that Trump did in his first administration that I agreed with at the time and then proved to be bad. So he wanted to get rid of DACA, right? He wanted to get rid of ACA and replace it with something better. I didn't disagree with him getting rid of DACA. His rationale behind getting rid of DACA was saying there needs to be a clear path to citizenship for these people instead of them just having to pay. So, snake holes, one brain cell, unpatriotic cockroaches cult. Are you talking about MAGA, EJ? Sounds like you're describing MAGA. Nothing happened in his first administration, but he did destroy some things. He tore stuff up. He never replaced anything about the Affordable Care Act. He said he was going to fix the Affordable Care Act. And I'm like, good, do that, because I think we should have universal health care. I believe every American should have universal health care, period, point blank. It's not like we don't have the money to, because we do have the money to have affordable universal health care. That's there. You said that like we're dumb. I'm not accusing anybody of being dumb. You're showing us in your conversation. Oh, go ahead and get EJ out as well. He doesn't want to have a conversation. He wants to come in here and accuse people of doing things that he's probably done himself. So let's go ahead and get him out of there as well. Liberty, I am not a Trumper. I'm a never Trumper, to be honest with you. Yeah. So, guys, I don't understand. I'm just trying to have a conversation with you guys, and I'm not trying to call anybody stupid. I'm just pointing something out. Your cognitive dissonance is hit when I start telling you that Donald Trump sold presidential pardons for crypto. And here's the thing. You vehemently argue against what I'm saying, still yet you refuse to do any research. And look, if you told me something, if you made a claim and I thought it was a completely wild claim, you know what I would do first? I would go look and see if I could look it up. Because if I don't trust you to make that claim, then I'm damn sure not going to trust any of your sources that you bring forth. I'm not a proud Trumper. I'm not a Trumper at all. But here's the thing. That's your right to vote and support whoever you want to vote for. Over Trump, 100% I did. 100% I did. Did I think she was the best candidate that they could offer? I don't know. We didn't have a primary. They should have primaried Biden. Let me talk some shit about the DNC real quick. So the DNC, I have a lot of problems with the DNC. First and foremost, let's go back to 2015 when Hillary and Bernie were running against each other. They completely suppressed Bernie to try to push Hillary forward. Why? Because they didn't want Bernie. Because Bernie has never once in the history of Bernieism ever supported the oligarchy that's up there, right? So yeah. So now all of a sudden, here we go. Biden's going to run again. Well, Biden said in 2020, I'm going to be a one-term president. He said that. He said, I'm going to go in and I'm going to be a bridge from one generation to another. And guess what? He wasn't. He lied about that. Because then he decided, well, I think I'm going to run again. Everybody's like, oh, God, well, we got to ride with Biden. I didn't vote for him the first time. I damn sure wasn't going to vote for him the second time. So here he comes. Here comes Donald Trump, strong and steady. Donald Trump shouldn't have even been able to run, to be quite honest with you. He shouldn't have. Because Merrick Garland, if anybody had an axe to grind against the GOP, it would have been Merrick Garland, or at least you would think that, right? You would think it would have been Merrick Garland. But no. What did Merrick Garland do? January 7th, he's like, well, we're just going to take the high road. Make America Trumpless again. He's like, I'm going to take the high road. Fuck the high road. They should have gone after DJT Tour de Force January 7th. Should have, but they didn't. What did they do? They sat on their thumbs for a couple of years. And then when it looked like he was starting to get momentum, looked like he could win something. Liberty Bell, I don't even know what you're talking about. I'm not a Democrat. They come out and say, okay, now we're going after him. And we never got the actual trials that needed to be had. Donald Trump lost the election of 2020. It's obvious. It is absolutely obvious. When you look at all the evidence, you can tell me all the stuff that's coming out in Georgia right now. I don't care. I do not care. I have listened to interviews from Trump's closest circle, tightest circle, who absolutely said they knew that he did not win. I've heard the audio footage of him calling the Attorney General of Georgia and begging for 11,500 votes. I have heard that. I saw with my own eyes the events of January 6th, and I followed the whole thing. I saw it in real time. And the thing is, oh my God, the conspiracy theorist. Yes. Yes. January 6th was just a hoax. It was just a friendly conversation, right? That's always a good question. You're spreading false info. But anyway, so yeah, I'm a little PO'd at the DNC. I feel like they were, they have some culpability in Trump being in power today. And instead of primarying anybody against Joe Biden, and there were candidates that wanted to primary against Joe Biden. Absolutely. No, they said it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you win New Hampshire. It doesn't matter where. We're riding with Biden. Doesn't matter. And that's their thing. They're not a governmental department or anything. They can do whatever they want to. They're a private organization. And I've been stepped away from that private organization. However, through the course of events and everything leading up to, you kind of can read some of the writing on the walls, right? When you see like the state of Louisiana mandate, the 10 Commandments are going to be in every classroom. And then you've got Oklahoma's Ryan Walters saying that he wants the Bible to be taught in every classroom in Oklahoma, and state of Arkansas doing the same thing, and then Texas and all this. You can see that there is a little bit of a Christian nationalist movement stirring, right? That pot's stirring pretty well. Governor Sarah Sanders, you know what she runs on? Whatever is going to piss off the left, the radical left. That's what she runs on. That's her campaign. Is, you know, you got Tommy Cotton up here getting $1.5 million from AIPAC. Is he working for the American people? Is he working for the Arkansans? No, he's absolutely not. So I saw this white Christian nationalist movement a brewing, and I read the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025. It's funny, for something that Trump swore he didn't know anything about, how many authors of Project 2025 he actually has in his cabinet. It's amazing how many people are in Donald Trump's cabinet that helped co-author Project 2025. Brendan Carr. What did Brendan Carr write, co-author in Project 2025? Communications. He did. He absolutely did. Yeah. Well, here's the thing, Liberty Bell. Unfortunately, I'm able to read and glean information from the Heritage Foundation's website. If you go to the Heritage Foundation's website, and I'm just going to do that for you. I'm going to do your research for you. Let me do your legwork for you real quick. So follow me here. Follow me here. Let me see. Can you see the screen there? Can you see that? Oh man, I'm on the Heritage Foundation's website. The Heritage Foundation, www.heritage.org. Liberty Bell, you refuse information. Wisdom, my friend, has been chasing you your entire life, and you have yet to remain faster. So I'm looking at the Heritage Foundation's website. I've already gotten two. I just got 2 restrictions for misinformation. I'm sure it was probably Liberty Bell because they're upset that I'm actually showing the things that they're saying is unreal. Oh, Liberty Bell, shut your mouth. You know Fox News is entertainment. You love to be entertained. Why aren't you reporting me? I'm just entertaining you, dude. Why are you reporting me when all I'm doing is entertaining you? I don't understand why people refuse to look. Look, I'm pulling up the Heritage Foundation's website. I am pulling up the Heritage Foundation's website. I'm sorry, Cap. What are you saying? There's a lot of stuff going on here, Cap. I apologize. Hey, Joe Padilla. Oh, I was talking about Project 2025. If you go to the Heritage Foundation's website, right? I don't idolize any politician. You can go to the Heritage Foundation's website. The first thing they're going to do is ask you if you want to make a donation. And guess what? I do not want to make a donation. However, I'm going to go on. Our vision. Nope, I'm still not going to give you any money. Our policy priorities, fighting for America's future, right? Now I'm going to go into the search bar. Harris is wrong about Project 2024. Our plan is good for America. That was on October 2nd, 2024. I did fix the fence. My son helped me too. Project 2025 announces latest additions to Presidential Administration Academy. Look, Project 2025 is a real thing. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm afraid to move my camera up there to show you my website because I got dinged for misinformation. But I've read Project 2025. I did an entire podcast on Project 2025 and the authors and co-authors that are currently sitting in this administration. Do you know what I mean? So when I sit there and I tell you that Brendan Carr was legitimately a co-author of Project 2025, that should frighten you that a Christian nationalist organization, and they've made no, thank you for the heart meet. Hey, my goal got achieved. Awesome. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. It should surprise no one, absolutely no one, that these people who have put this out on the web are more than happy to let you know that they're winning right now. Here's the scariest part about the Christian nationalist movement. Look, I am not anti-Christian. I want to say that first and foremost. I'm not anti-Christian. I am anti-Christian nationalist. because one, this country was not founded on Christianity. It was not. This was established as a secular nation so that people would have freedom to choose how they worshiped and what they worshiped and whom they worshiped. Right? What's not true? This was set up as a secular nation. It was. And and the founding fathers even said this is not a Christian nation. Yeah. Oh, no. See, Edgar, they didn't tell me. However, they told all of us because the founding fathers were quite literate and they enjoyed writing. So many of them wrote letters to one another. Many of them wrote memoirs. And they also wrote treaties like the Treaty of Tripoli, 1797. I'm going to go ahead and pull that up for you. (1797). Oh, that's 1797. There we go. And we're going to go specifically to Article 11 of that. The first paragraph is all we need. So, Article 11. The government of the United States of America is not in any sense founded on the Christian religion. That's literally in there, and it was signed by who signed the Treaty of Tripoli? John Adams. That's it. President John Adams. Like, for real. It's written right there. One of the founding fathers literally said, that this country was not in any sense founded on the Christian religion. Yes. So there's a book by a guy named Barton who wrote this book. It's called The Jefferson Lies, and it was a New York Times #1 bestseller initially when it was published. It was published by a Christian publishing house, and then some people kind of fact-checked the book, and it was riddled with nothing but lies. And so they pulled it. It was Nathaniel, I think, was the Christian publishing house that published that. Unfortunately, too many people got a hold of it. And it's one of those things that has spread through Christian nationalism where people actually believe that. And 100%, thank you, Rachel. 100%, guys, feel free to be a Christian. I'm not hating on you if you're a Christian. There is no war against Christianity here in the United States. That is what the Christian nationalists want you to think, because they want you to associate Christianity with their Christian nationalism, and they want to lump you guys all up together. So I say in the course of fighting Christian nationalism, the main fight has to come from true Christians. I don't hate Christians, no. There are a lot of Christians on here, and look, I have no problems with that. Look, I am not a Christian. However, I did swear an oath to defend your right to practice Christianity. And your right to practice Christianity is just like my right to swing my fist. The right to swing my fist stops at your face. Your right to swing your Christianity stops at my face. Meaning that you're not allowed to indoctrinate my children in the schools with your Christianity. which is what they want to do, but not necessarily a Christianity that actually is Christian. It's their Christianity. It's their version of it, you know, like this Turning Point, blah, blah, blah. Yes, real Christianity will go by Matthew 14:5, you know? Yes, Bobby, absolutely. Yeah, the Bible does say to love your neighbor. It does. The Bible says to love your neighbor as yourself. And really, to be honest with you, if you broke down Christianity, it comes down to one commandment. There's really one commandment: selfless service to others. Can we not just love each other? Okay. So what you're going to say is that you don't want the pride flag flown in schools, right? Is that what you're going to say? There's 10 commandments. So name the 10 commandments that don't deal with God's jealousy. How about that? Plants. Plants. That's a good take. It really is. I'm waiting for you to tell me which one of the 10 commandments. Name 5 of the 10 commandments that don't deal with God's jealousy. Because the first 5 commandments in the 10 commandments deal with God's jealousy, basically, right? The last 5 are ripped straight from Hammurabi's code. And Hammurabi's code predates what, 800 years, 1200 years, something like that. So yeah, the 10 commandments should not be up in any high school. You wouldn't want the Mahabharata being put up in every classroom in America, would you? No, you wouldn't. Or how about let's take an excerpt from the Book of the Dead? Can we do that? No. Hey, Jay Bird, what's going on? Good morning. I'm still suffering from my restriction on misinformation brought to you by someone who had their cognitive dissonance triggered. But it's okay. Look, thank you, Miss Julie. Appreciate it. And I'm not even mad at people for reporting me. I understand that. When I was a kid and somebody told me that Santa Claus wasn't real, it hurt me in a deep level. And I wanted to fight. Thanks for the cowboy hat. Reaper back into schools. They do say the Pledge of Allegiance at the ball games where we're at. Every ball game, they stand up and then they'll have one little girl get up and say a prayer. Do I agree with that? No, I don't. As a school-sponsored activity. Yeah, they still say the pledge in a lot of school districts. They do. I don't know what they do every morning. They won't. I don't go to the schoolhouses, so I don't really know. The Super Bowl hadn't been on yet, brother. Super Bowl's not till February, I think, isn't it? Something like that. We hadn't even started playoffs yet. I'll be honest with you, I don't watch a lot of pro football. I do watch the Detroit Lions when I can catch their games. I don't dislike the Broncos. I always liked them, especially when Peyton Manning was there, which of course I loved them back when John Elway was there too, and they were making that run in the mid-90s. But right? Yeah, we usually do watch the commercials. Go Lions. That's right. We got knocked out of the playoffs yesterday or day before yesterday, whatever. I know that's what happens when you leave. I drift off into sports. No, Truth came in to ask me if you allowed me to watch the Super Bowl. Y'all damn sure wouldn't have seen my ass on live if I had won the lottery at 1.3 billion or whatever. If your wife gives you permission, we should do a Super Bowl live. 10-4, that we'll check that. We'll look into that. We may do that. I gotta, run it by her first, but well, yeah, but hold on just a second. That is wrong though. Yeah, man, I could too. I could definitely do something with that. No, the issue with the pride flag, I don't have an issue with that. It's not something that's actually mandated for them to put. There's no laws that are dictating that be put into a classroom. There are, however, states that are mandating that the Ten Commandments be put into a classroom. Are you talking about the ones that were killing the Christians? Are you talking about over in Niger? Is that what you're talking about? I think violence on any scale is abhorrent. I do, regardless of what you. Oh, hold on, got my little puzzle piece I got to do. Regardless of what type of religious affiliation you have, though. But when I see a group of Christian motorcycle clubs messaging each other on Facebook saying we need to go take a trip to Michigan, Dearborn, Michigan, and have a rally there, and during their call, I find that to be just as abhorrent as someone in a foreign nation targeting Christians. When people want to disrupt someone's religious activities, yeah. Oh, yeah. About a month and a half ago, Justin the Dog Father on TikTok here was trying to organize a rally, which is one of the reasons why we're not friends anymore, was trying to organize a rally of Christian motorcyclists to band together and go on a run up to Dearborn, Michigan, and rev their bikes up during their call. And I mean, that's true. I commented on there. I told them to make sure they wore their good hoods for that. Don't waste those, you know. And I mean, it's sickening. It's a terrible thing to even joke about, you know? I mean, it's an absolutely terrible thing to even joke about. Even if it was in jest, it's a terrible thing to joke about, you know? So yeah, I'm against all of it. But you can't say that it's just one-sided. You can't. Some of the comments that, and look, I'm going to be honest with you, TikTok has turned into a tool for right-wing propaganda. Sorry, Freudian slip. For right-wing propaganda. It has. You look at me, I'm on here. I'm not talking hateful to anybody. I'm not being disrespectful to anybody. I'm trying to call balls and strikes right here. But when I pull up the Heritage Foundation's website and showed the guy Project 2025, I got a violation for misinformation. Why? And answer me this, guys. Why is it that I'm having to go talk to you right now on my backup account? I'm against all of it too. I'm against all of it too. I'm against all of it, but when I see one side predominantly carrying out those injustices, I'm going to speak out on it. I'm against nothing. I don't even know if that makes sense. I mean, even if you're against nothing, you're against something, right? I'm against the nothing. Well, then you're against something. Oh, I do pick a side. I have picked a side, 100%. Why do you think that this app is more left than right? Look at how many violations someone who is a left-leaning creator gets as opposed to someone who is a right-wing influencer, right? I can go into a right-leaning live and I can hear people saying the most abhorrent things that I would get a violation for over here. I mean, we say that. You say it's the same thing, but people are bounded. You say it's the same bird, but people are sure bound to that certain wing, aren't they? When you go to the voting booth, do you vote for Republicans and Democrats, or do you just vote straight R or D? I don't hate white people. I don't hate anybody. But I am a realist. I do realize that that this is a system that was built on bigotry, that there is systemic racism that's built in. It's not necessarily because you mean to, but you have to kind of be aware of that to be able to look and see what it is, you know? Fuck everybody. Thank you, Anon. Yeah. See, and then you have intellects, these huge intellects, big brain guys like Damage Crew, whatever. I don't know. You misspelled it. Leftist dumma scrap. Owned us. I'm not even a Democrat, dude. I'm not. I don't want to sully my name by saying that I'm a Democrat. I don't want to put myself in that little box and say, oh, well, I'm a Democrat and I'm going to blah, 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 blah. There's nuance to everything. And when you pigeonhole yourself, you intentionally pigeonhole yourself into one category, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. You have pigeonholed yourself. That's what you've done. You've disenfranchised yourself from nuance. There is no such thing as black and white, right versus wrong. That's not. There's always nuance behind it. There's gray area. And you guys are swerving that gray area by saying that I'm either this or that. And that's not the case. You want to look at things in absolutes, and there are no absolutes. I did, yeah. I am picking a side. I'm picking a side for America. I'm picking the side of the Constitution right now. If you can honestly sit here and support violations of the 5th and 14th Amendment by this administration and think that it's justified, then you have chosen the wrong side. Trump's been a bad person his whole life, guys. Trump told you who he was before he ran. He told you who he was when he went on Howard Stern. This is way before he was getting into politics. This was during the birther movement when he was, just chumming out as much lies about Obama as he possibly could. He was a key element to the birther movement. He was telling you that. He was telling you who he was when he went on Howard Stern's show and talked about walking into young ladies' dressing rooms while they're changing into their swimwear intentionally. That should have disqualified him in and of itself. The grab him by the should have disqualified him as well. Howard Dean, collectively, people were like, "Now we can't have that guy because he made a funny noise." We let a guy who legitimately said, "I just grab him by the," and we're like, "Yeah, that's our guy right there. That's who we want to represent the party of family values." That guy right there. So I'm not pulling anybody up right now. I pulled a guy up earlier, and the first thing he did was cuss my wife. The fact that you would even have the gall to say that, the fact that people would even be able to sit there and go, "Oh, okay, well, it's just boys being boys." Maybe we need to teach our boys differently. Maybe we should teach our boys to speak differently outside of the locker room. Look, I was in the Army. I've been in some pretty rough locker rooms, you know. I will say this, guys, when we're talking about Trump and we're talking about the Epstein files and all that, I look at it like this. When there's that much smoke, there's probably a little bit of fire, right? There probably is. But I look at it on a wider perspective. I'm 47 years old. I have close friends, people that I trust, people that I confide in, and not a single one of those guys, to my knowledge, has ever associated with someone or been someone who's essayed a child or been involved with that. And that should tell you something. When this guy can't throw a stick without hitting someone who's some sort of a sexual deviant, who's been accused of SA, been convicted, Eugene Carroll, look, you can believe that or not, but I mean, in the civil court, they found him to be liable. That's a guilty conviction in civil court, right? Whether you believe that was real or not or whatever, it was a jury of his peers. But I will say this. I'll tell you who's not in the Epstein files. I'm going to tell you who is absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, not in the Epstein files. People like us. People who are mechanics, maintenance personnel, nurses, waitress, doctors. Might be some doctors. I don't know. It's all these big name people. Bill Clinton's most definitely in the files. I would bet money on Bill Clinton. When I first heard that, I was like, oh, Clinton's in there. Look, I don't know. I haven't seen him, but I bet Clinton's in there. But you're not going to find people like you and I in there. You know why? Because it's a club that we ain't in. It's a club of the people who are the top 1% who are doing everything they possibly can to take away from us. Take our money, our little bit of power that we have, and put it back up there. Yes, unless you were a beautiful young girl. Yes, swept into it. Yes. And the amount of people who are on there talking about how the victims, who are victim shaming, there are women on this app that are making videos blaming the victims for their culpability in getting attacked. They're like, they knew what they were doing. They knew what they were getting into. Is abhorrent. You can't do that. You can't, because it comes down to one thing. There's a difference between a 14-year-old girl may look like she's a woman. Okay? We'll agree on that. If she does something at 14 years old, it's not consent. It's surrender. That's what that is. There's a huge difference between consent and surrender. And that's what that person is doing. And you know what? If you're forcing a 14-year-old woman or boy to surrender in any way, shape, or form, any of those things, then you're a piece of shit and you deserve to be cast into a dungeon, you know? And that's why I say this Epstein files has done nothing more than exemplify the fact that it's the top versus the bottom. It's that top 1% versus us down here. And they're going to do we'll never see an unredacted Epstein files. We'll never see that. And I know we all hope that we will one day see that and that these victims will get the reparations that they truly deserve, but we will never see that. Yeah, sorry, Nikki. It was, whatever. Oh, Captain Crunch, I saw you in a couple of lives yesterday too. You were in there I'll be honest with you. I saw some of your comments in those MAGA lives. You are really suckling on that catheter, man. I was a little disappointed in you in some of the comments you were saying. Now they're defending the pizza parlor. Yeah. Well, regardless, it is something that is the culpability for them to be able to maintain their positions of power. And that's all that they really want. That's all they want, is to be able to maintain their positions of power. They just want to make sure you absolutely can tell the people who are okay with that. And yeah, let me correct something that I said earlier. It's a 14-year-old girl. It's not a 14-year-old woman. She may look like a woman, but that doesn't matter. There's a difference in the development of your brain versus your body. How am I disingenuous, Truth? They are children. Truth said I was disingenuous. I don't understand what I'm being disingenuous about. I think we should all be in agreement here. I think this is something that we shouldn't have any type of an argument over. I don't think we're ever going to get a completely unredacted. You know, we should all be outraged about this. And again, this is just one thing that exemplifies the fact that it's that 1%, because it's just the 1% that's in the files, guys. It's just the 1%. You won't find Joe Schmo, the electrician, down there. You won't find him. You won't find the guy that's cleaning the toilets at Mar-a-Lago down there, right? Plants. So, I mean, everybody that's in that list that's violated someone's um, personal space. We'll just say that. Anyone that's violated someone's personal space in those files there needs to be held accountable. And I don't care where you're from. I don't care what foreign nation you're in charge of. I don't care what type of royalty you are. And I damn sure don't care if you're from Hope, Arkansas and was the 42nd president. I don't give two fucks. You should be held accountable. And I've never once said differently. If we're going to hold, but I will say this, if we're going to hold Bill Clinton accountable for his name being in there, then we should also be holding Donald Trump to an even higher standard, because he is the POTUS of the United States right now. Anon, you're absolutely right, brother. That's why I say, look, and I feel like we're very close to coming together. It's like a tension in the air. You can hear people wanting to coalesce into one and stop this tyranny from above. And I feel like MAGA is hindering that. I feel like they are, because do you know what you have to do to see with faith? You have to close the eye of reason. And MAGA has that son of a bitch squeezed shut. They don't want to hear it. Yes. Well, and see what you said about if we start arresting all the corrupt people and everything. Well, first and foremost, that's why we have to vet the people we are currently holding in. Look, we have a midterm election coming up in little less than a year, right? And so we need to be vetting those candidates. I've platformed several candidates that are grassroots candidates. And look, they may not be somebody you want to vote for. And if that's the case, then that's totally up to you. However, what I am going to say is that if you try to vote for people that are supported by the corporations, if you try to vote in people who are supported by the super PACs, then what you're going to get is the same old thing. You're going to get the new people running the country. You're going to be getting the new contracts from the corporations. We have to return our country back to a system of normalcy. And I think that system of normalcy means getting people in there who are actually working for us, who are willing to work to get the money out of politics, who are actually willing to work to get Citizens United revoked, if we could, if the Republicans can fight together with the Heritage Foundation in order to overturn Roe versus Wade, surely, surely we have enough critical thinking people here that could help us get Citizens United overturned. Surely we do. But the first thing we've got to do is purge the filth out of there. Get rid of Nancy Pelosi. Get rid of Chuck Schumer. I want them gone. But at the same time, we've got to get rid of people like Mitch the bitch. You know, we got to make sure he's not there anymore. We got to get rid of people like Mike Johnson, right? We've got to get rid of these people we got to get rid of folks like Tom fucking Cotton. Did y'all know, and I'll say this in every one of my lives for all those people that might swing through here that are in Arkansas. Did you know that Tom Cotton received $1.5 million from AIPAC? You can go to the Track AIPAC site and you can look it up and it'll tell you exactly how much every candidate in your state, your district, whatever, has received from AIPAC. Do you honest to God think that these people who are receiving so much money and support from Walmart, AIPAC, Dow Chemical, ExxonMobil, do you think that they're working for your best interest, or do you think that they're going to be working for the lobbyist? Basically, we've got 450 lobbyists up there running our country. That's what we've got. Hey, Phil Weston, thank you for your comment. You misspelled your. Thank you for the corgi. Whoever sent that, I appreciate that so much. Oh, I'm sorry. I misread your comment. Yes, you spelled it correctly. Oh, I know. I've got a degree in English. Got a lot of comments up here. Why would you start a conversation with somebody by saying you're stupid? Thank you. I'm glad you agree with it. I don't have a party. So who did send me that gift? I really don't know who sent me that. I was reading someone calling me stupid. So I apologize for that. Yeah, we're having a discussion, people. If you disagree with me, come at me with something besides saying you're stupid. Because all that does is it just starts a fight. I'm trying to have a debate. Truth, we all know what your conclusion is. I'm not on here to throw verbal jabs at someone. I'm not. What are the government guidelines on that, Michael? There is nuance, people. I don't have to be a Republican. I don't have to be a Democrat. I don't think that our government is anti-white, seeing as how I feel like that our government there's quite a bit of systemic racism that's built into the system. That's actually a good point. No, actually, I was liberal way before my wife was, to be quite honest with you. So are you for, so you're for gun control then, right? Is that what you're saying? Hey, Lisa, what's going on, friend? So I strongly support the Second Amendment as well. I do. I support all the amendments, including the Fifth and the 14th, which I feel like are quite literally under siege these days. You know? Oh, I agree with that, Anon. I do. Look, I'm a law abiding citizen. Uh, I've had some training in the pew pews, um, but I would have zero qualms with having to take a test, somewhat like a driver's exam. Like, you know, you can't drive a car. I understand driving is a privilege, not a right. Okay, let's say that first and foremost. But I would not have a problem with going and taking a training course, taking a test to show that I have suitable knowledge of that to be able to handle it properly, and to actually be able to go through a range and to show, just like a driving test, to show that I have adequate propensity to use that weapon responsibly. And I don't think many people who support the Second Amendment would be against that either. I really don't. I feel like something has to be done. We've got to do something differently than what we've been doing. You know, basic firearm safety is common sense. It really is. Australia did do it, and I mean, you look at it; they haven't had a you know a mass since what 1990. Was it 4 or 6? I can't remember. It's 30 years. Yes, why not? We have to have some type of a restriction on them as well. Look, if you legalized heroin, and I'm not advocating for legalizing heroin, I will sound like Rand Paul here for a second, but if you were to legalize that, it doesn't mean that everybody would go out and just start doing that now. But if you did, it would be like tobacco or alcohol. There would be age limits, right? There would be restrictions on it. Is Reaper, is there a huge H epidemic out there now because of its legality? Because if people are going to do that, people are going to do that regardless, right? I mean, it kind of does. But also, guys, you got to look at, we do have an opioid issue. I'm just trying to use words that won't get me bananaed on here. But I feel like that if we were to go through and look at our prison systems, we could probably get rid of a lot of the prisoners that we have in there, right? Why do we have why do we have more prisoners than any other country in the world? We're the greatest nation in the world, right? But we have so many people in privatized prisons. Our legal system is meant to keep prisons full. Prisons are for profit, yes. When and who was this country ever great? Boy, please tell me. Well, I mean, I don't understand why you're coming in with the tone. I'm assuming you assume that I'm MAGA, which I'm not. But I, it depends on the metric. If you're a person of color, then I can't tell you when this country's ever been great. You know, I can't. If you're talking about from an economic standpoint, it depends on where you range in that class as well. And through varying times, you've felt different levels of greatness. Now, look, if you look at Donald Trump, he's trying to recreate the Gilded Age, which means that the top 5% would have the vast amounts of property and money and power, right? Oh yeah, look, I don't know if you guys have picked up on this, but I'm rather white myself, and I'm very aware of the I'm very aware of the amount of privilege that I have from that, right? But I'm not rich. I'm not rich because of it. Just I'm poor. I'm white poor. And what that means is that I'm not as concerned about uh, being stopped and thrown into prison for no apparent reason. Yes, I'm shockingly Caucasian, you know. Yeah, there are people in prisons right now that are in prison solely because of the color of their skin. And if you don't recognize that, then we'll never get to a point where we can solve that issue. Ooh, I do like what he said. We're economic slaves to the matrix. What do you mean I can see for myself? What makes you think I haven't ever been to a jail or a prison?
You've been to jail.
Not always there because of their own actions. And that's why I say it's not. And look, black people make up what, 13% of the population? They make up 90% of our prison populations. Do you think that's by accident? Do you think that black people are just inherently more violent and criminal? I don't. I don't. Yeah, nobody's guilty in prison, dude. Oh, Zane, I'm very aware of U.S. history. Yeah. Zane, then tell me about it, dude. Tell me about it. I'm not sitting here saying that I know everything. I'm not sitting here. Yeah, I agree. Guys, I don't know if y'all have noticed this or not, but I'm actually on y'all's side here. And when I say that I'm talking about something that I don't know what it's like to be a person of color. Yeah, Zane thinks that I'm MAGA, and he thinks that just because I'm white and I've got a hat and a beard that I'm MAGA, but I'm not. Dude, I'm well aware of this. But I will say this: if you look at white people in um, other countries, they're doing prisons much better than we are, as far as like people who have drug issues, they're having rehabilitation centers. It's not like a guarded prison with walls where people can't go to. I mean, I didn't specifically create the problem, but I understand that white people did. Yeah, Zane's not listening. He's angered. It's fine. All right, Anon, I appreciate you coming back in here, man. So talk about something. Well, what do you want to talk about, Zane? Since you know everything, tell me what you want to talk about. I appreciate it, buddy. Oh yeah, I am too. I'm terribly embarrassed about them. So what can I do to show accountability for it then? And I'm just being real. What can I do? I'm actually sitting here on a platform talking about those issues, the same things. We're arguing the same point here, and you're angry at me about it for arguing that point, for saying that there is systemic racism that was built into this system. So you're mad at me for agreeing with you. So what do you want to talk about that I can disagree with you on? I mean, you sound like you've got a lot of hate in your heart towards people that you don't know. Catch me alone. All right, Zane. Yeah, Zane, throw me a follow, man. Send me a message. We'll talk. Thanks for the follow, man. Appreciate it. We'll talk later, bro. Seriously. I'm not trying to fight with you, man. We're arguing the same point, though. I hear you, man. No, it's cool. And the reason I'm not pulling people up right now, I had some guy come up here earlier and just start immediately cussing out my wife. Do you know what I mean? Thanks for the follow there, Rachel. So, I mean, but yeah, look, there's a lot of, I mean, God, there's a lot of shit that's just, um, no, man. And look, I'm assuming Zane is indigenous, native.
Are you ready to go to Uncle Nate? Dylan.
Oh no, dude, I do. I know. And I'm just looking for answers, man. If you've got answers, I'm willing to listen to them. If you have something that we could do to do that. You know what I mean? Like I say, I'm with you. And I'll fight right along there side you with my pasty blue-eyed ass. I will.
Are you ready to go to Uncle Nate?
Man, I wish
Okay.
honestly, dude, I wish I knew the reasons why. I wish I knew the reasons why they did that. Um, I think I'm going to probably infuriate some people here, but I'm going to say this. I think a lot of it has to do with um, the religion, the Abrahamic religions, in and of itself. I'm not playing victim by any way, shape, or form. I blame the religions because they believe that it was part of their duty to to go out and conquer. Manifest destiny is what I would blame it on, to be honest with you, and it goes all the way back pre-Columbus, even. Um, I think that has a lot to do with it. that they're supposed to go out and spread the word of God, right? And how else to do that? I mean, if you look at the things that Columbus did, and you can read that Columbus did to the indigenous peoples in the Caribbean, it was abhorrent, the things that they would do. What they would do is they would take the holy man of the tribe that they were in, and they would put them on a skewer, and they would slow roast them, and they would tell them to pray to their deity to come save them, to prove that their God was a superior God. Those are terrible things to do. Those are terrible acts of inhumanity. Yeah, I'm an atheist, man, to be honest with you. Nobody's in here crying, brother. Anti-theist. I like that. I like that. Look, guys, I'm pretty even killing here, you know? Live, laugh. That's funny. Thanks, Tezra. Hey, yeah, no, I mean, look, I understand. Zane's passionate, man. I love the passion. Just let me help you channel it, you know? I mean, dude, I wish I knew why. I do. I wish I knew why. Yeah, absolutely, Henry. The Columbus and his atrocities were just continuations of the Spanish Inquisition. Well, I mean, I have been to reservations. I have been. Um, so, I mean, obviously, you don't know me, and look, I'm not saying that I grew up on a reservation or anything like that, but um, man, Zane, I really hate that you've got so much hate in your heart, man. I'm not here to hate on you, you know? Hold on. Yeah, it is. That's good. A lot of people don't realize that aspect of the historical reference of 1492 in regards to the Moors and the Spanish. Um, there's a timeline of events, and look, I understand through history when you're going through and reconstructing history and trying to pinpoint what was what. You know, to the winner goes the spoils, and the moops. The moops. Jules just said the moops. um, you know, it's hard to discern what was written by the victors versus what was reality, you know? D3, it is. It is. One of my good friends is in here, Rajiel, right now, and Rajiel is very keen on history itself. Yeah, look, it's not like I don't have a diverse group of people in my room. We can have a conversation, you know, and look, Zane's upset and everything, and he sees me and he's angry at me, even though he doesn't know me. He doesn't know anything that anywhere that I've been and the things that I've done, anything like that. And I get that. Some people just get really upset about stuff, you know, and they have some misplaced rage and they don't know where to put it. And I feel like that's kind of Zane. He's blaming me for it. And look, I get it. It was my people that did it. Um, but it's not, I mean, it might make him feel better for a few minutes to sit there and go, well, I yelled at that white dude. I let him know. But I'm actually more interested in helping people in those situations than I am fighting with them, you know? Because I mean, I have a lot of close personal friends who are indigenous who did grow up on a reservation. And I think you guys uh, blaze past the fact that there's literally a reservation right across the road from me. You know, I'm right on the border of Oklahoma. There's tons of reservations just right over there. Yeah, Lily. I mean, look, and that's, you know, we talk about law and order. We talk about upholding the Constitution. We talk about the Fifth and 14th Amendments, and talk about how vile it is for anyone to be. And look, I get it when people say no one is illegal on stolen land. I get that. I do 100%. I get that. However, yeah, my wife grew up in a little town that is predominantly native. And so, you know, sees me as a vessel of that and just wants to hate on me, but it's not constructive because the same people that um, the same race of people are the ones that are still in power to this day. And the only way that you're going to be able to um, get rid of that is by everybody coming together and looking past what race somebody is. The the whole ideology of the great replacement is that persons of color, specifically Muslims, are trying to replace white Christian European persons' places of power. Well, why is it indicative that they be white Christian Europeans, right? Yeah. And SB, I get it. I understand the rage. I do. D'Lo. Waffles. I think in order to move forward from some of the atrocities of the past, we have to recognize the past atrocities. And we have to reconcile that in some form or fashion. The simple act of saying that it was so far in the past and it's not something that I did doesn't necessarily excuse it. What we have to do is take a look at the system that's in place currently still. Look at the reservations and look at the conditions that children are growing up in those reservations and why they might have a reason for being outraged at people that look like me when they see me on a platform with people in here with a voice. You know, that's what I think. I think we need to examine those situations and see, are we treating the native populations, the indigenous populations in this country fairly today? Are you talking to me? You called me another white racist, weed snob? Yeah, it's weird. Diamond Dave joined the chat. What's up, Diamond Dave? Yeah, that I mean, but no, I mean, are we though? Espy, is Espy still in here? Are we treating our indigenous people fairly today? Are they getting just treatment by our government? Oh, sorry. Don't let me mess up your teleportation. I'll be honest with you. I think, we have to we can't just sit here and be delusional people. We can't sit here and say we want everybody to be liberal, because we don't want that. We don't want everybody thinking the same thing. Society is not going to advance rapidly. We're going to have to do it at a slower pace, and we have to bring everybody along. That's why we have to be inclusive. That's why we have to be diverse with people and hear voices. That's why it's not okay anymore for one race of people, one group of people, to end up being in power all the time, in control all the time. We need diverse people in power. We need people in power that are actually trying to work for us. And the best way that we can get people to actually try to work for us is to vet those people that we're voting for. Look, here's the thing, guys. We're not just going to go in there and overthrow the government. We're not. But we're also not going to make any effective change as long as we keep voting in the same puppets who are being strung along by the corporate interest. We're not going to we're not going to get anything that we need done in our country by continuously voting in people who are being backed by Super PAC. Again, $1.5 million to Tom Cotton in Arkansas. We're never going to get term limits, though, if we don't get the money out. If we don't get people in there who are truly vested in working for us. So we do have to be involved in our political system. We do have to be involved in engaged with the people that are running to be in power over us, right? So we have to know who those people are. And the best way that we know who those people are is to find out, look, all the information that you need to know about a candidate is right there online. You can either go to their website, or you can go to places like Track APAC, or, there are resources where you can pull up and see exactly how much money somebody is making. Reaper, are you out? Have a good one, bub. We need to be vetting those people better. And the problem that we're having right now is people are still stuck on this ideology that we are Republicans versus Democrats, left versus right. And that's not true. It's us versus them up at the top. And like I said earlier, you know who's not on the Epstein files? Us. Your nurses, your maintenance men, your mechanics, your teachers. We're not on there. It's the people in the top 1% who are the ones that are controlling all of our money and all of our assets and how you live your life. Politics, and I've said this several times, and it's meant to be funny, but it's kind of gross at the same time, but I'm going to say it anyway. Politics is like Bill Cosby. Either we fucking or I'm fucking. And that's the way politics is. Either you can fuck with politics, but it's still going to fuck you. You know what I mean? Yeah, we're never going to see the Epstein files. We're never going to get a fully unredacted. We're never going to know who all was on there. We're never going to know any of that. We're never going to know any of that. We're not. because they don't want us to, because they're still in power, because it doesn't serve them for us to see who's on the Epstein files. It doesn't. Yeah, here's the thing. You're absolutely right there, Robert. You're right. The evidence is right in front of us. We know who's on there. We can listen to the voices of the victims. We can choose to believe them, or we can choose not to. Or we can choose to ascribe to the fact that these people are all dirty in some form or fashion. That these people don't give a fuck about us. That these people would rather watch us die in poverty than to give up some of their power and wealth to help. And that's the crux of the matter. And so while we're sitting here squibbling over who we're going to vote for, if the Democrats are demons or the Republicans are dumb, it doesn't matter to them, because while we fight amongst each other, they're still in power and they're still dictating that. And that's why I say we have to come together. We have to stop this idle bickering back and forth over Republican versus Democrat. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm an American. You know? And that's all I want you guys to do, is to start critically vetting the people that are in power right now and get rid of those people. There is no way, shape, or form. Look, we can bitch about Nancy Pelosi all we want to, but guess what? Somebody elected her every fucking time. We can bitch about Mitch McConnell all the time, all day long, but somebody voted that motherfucker in. Yeah. We did that. Why? Because we allowed them to manipulate us by party lines. Jackie B, look, I'm going to say this. Everybody has their time, and people run past their prime. Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Her hubris got in front of her. Her pride got before her. She had to stay and fight, Well, guess what she did? She gave Trump another judge. Barack Obama begged her to step down so he could have that seat. Nope, she refused. She wanted that power. Oh, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Y'all hit my gift goal. Y'all are awesome, guys. Y'all kind of scared me there because I didn't know what happened. Did we elect them? I don't know. How deep do you think that state goes? To be honest with you, I don't think that the people in power really give a fuck who we vote in. I really don't. Because they own all those people. And that's why I'm saying, if we're going to vote people in, let's not vote people in that's on their payroll. Let's not do them any other favors, right? So if it's a rigged system, why do we even bother? Why are we mad then? It's out of our control then, right? If they're just going to decide who we pick, they really don't care. Look, why do you think that Mondami had so many people on the right and the left throwing copious amounts of money to make sure he didn't get elected? Because he refused their money. He refused not to play in, right? So we can either continue to keep voting these people in and say, you know what? Yeah, it doesn't matter. We're just going to vote these people in. Or we can look at people who are grassroots candidates. I'm reminded of a gentleman up in, his name's Winston Jordan. up in New Jersey in the 12th district who's running on a no donation campaign. He's doing all of his campaigning on his own through social media, being on lives, being on podcasts, doing things like that, getting his word out. He doesn't believe there should be any money in the political system with the technology that we have today. And you know what? I tend to agree with him. Look at Jasmine Thomas running against Markwayne Mullen in the state of Oklahoma. She is completely grassroots funded, and she needs everybody's help. Why? Because she is a nurse. She is a mother of a child on the spectrum. She is a military wife, and she is running against one of the powerhouses in the Senate. It is truly a David and Goliath type battle. She needs all the help she can get, but she refuses to take any corporate donorship. She refuses to take any money from any super PACs. And I commend that, and I support her, and I platform her in every way, shape, and form I can possibly do. There's a guy by the name of Bernard Taylor running for Congress down in Florida. He is 100% grassroots campaign candidate. Those are the types of people I want to see leading our country. People who work hard for the opportunity to serve the American people. Not those people who work hard to get the donations from Walmart, to get the donations from ExxonMobil, to get the donations from AIPAC. Those aren't the people I want running this country, because those people running the country are going to support the interest of those. And that's how we end up with things like Citizens United. That's how we end up with the Fairness Doctrine. That's how we end up with, what was it in the 90s? There was a law you could only own up to 40% of the radio, whatever. And now they own up to 90% of it. You know? Yeah. So I do. I look at these people and I look at these guys that are running on these campaigns that are grassroots, and I commend them and I try to support them because I want more people like that. I haven't checked out Haley Schaffner in Arkansas yet. She's running against Tom Cotton. I haven't checked to see who all is throwing support behind her, but she's gaining quite a bit of support. Yeah, it's about 6 companies that own all of it. Whoa, man, what did Robert say? I'm sorry, guys. Y'all caught me monologuing for a second. Good. I have messaged her several times trying to platform her, and she refuses to respond. Maybe I'm not big enough for her, and that's fine. I get it. But it's a constant battle. It's a constant struggle, but it's a struggle that's worth it because I look at my kids, I look at my grandkids, and I look at the world that, and I'm sorry, I'm not being ageist here, but I look at the world that the boomers have created because this is a society right now that they have a heavy hand in playing, and they refuse to step out of the seats of power. And one of the things that we can do to help us is to get rid of the people in power. And look, I'm even including Bernie in that. Bernie is great. I love Bernie. But it's time for him to move on too. You know? That generation is so ensconced in power that they don't know how to let it go. You know, and if I have, look, let me be honest with you guys. If I'm being quite honest with you, the laws and things that they're affecting right now, they'll never live to see the full consequences of. They aren't up to date with the problems that we face as a society. They don't even understand social media for the most part. Do we really want people making legislation that don't understand social media? No. Yeah. Social media is for entertainment purposes only. However, that's the vast majority. That's where the vast majority of Americans get their information. If you go look at the Book of Faces, you'll see just a parade of boomers on there posting misinformation in the form of memes. And I'm right or left. It doesn't matter because they aren't getting. They don't know how to vet that information. You take the worst AI video ever, my mom will believe it's real. There are some AI videos that come out now. I actually have to show it to my kid and be like, is that real or not? I'm for being honest. I'm just being honest. Look, I'm a Gen Xer. I'm being honest with you. That's an issue that I face, and I see it getting worse as we move forward, you know? And as far as I will say that, Venus, as far as information goes, I have friends who think that TikTok's terrible because it's China spying on you, and they refuse to get on it. But they'll come and ask me questions about stuff because they know I know. Why? Because I do get in here, and um, I don't necessarily get all my information from TikTok because there are people here that have biased opinions just like anybody else. But I do try to vet the sources by which I get my news from. There are people out there, there are creators out there that believe in actual fundamental journalist tenets of being non-biased, of being of stating facts. This is what happened. This is just what happened. I'm sorry if you don't like it, whatever. Yeah, our own government watches us like a hawk. Another one of the repercussions from 9/11, where people were so scared of terrorism that they forewent some of their freedoms to secure that. Well, it's like anything else, though. You think that you're getting the right information, but your algorithm is trying to lie to you, though, right? Yeah, Bush was terrible. Bush doesn't get a reprieve from me, even though he comes out giving Michelle Obama butterscotches and shit and trying to act like everybody's funny old grandpa and all that shit. No, he's got a lot of blood on his hands. Got a lot of buddies that never get to watch their kids graduate high school because of him. So yeah, he'll never get a pass. We do need to have a mandatory retirement age. Thanks for the follows, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you, Andrew. Um, But yeah, we're in a sad state. But again, guys, it's not just left versus right. We're being attacked from the top. And I know everybody knows that. You know, we all know that. But what do we do about it? We try to get better people in power. That's all we can do. They have divided and conquered the shit out of us. Yes, we are Americans first. That's why I'm not a Democrat, guys. That's why I'm not a Republican. I don't get up here and talk about. Um, so, Kyler, I want to talk to you about that for a second. I was unaware of that. I mentioned a gentleman by the name of Winston Jordan, who's running for the 12th district up in New Jersey, and very intelligent guy. He is actually running on the New Deal. What was it? FDR 2.0 or whatever. And I didn't realize it, but FDR had proclaimed back in the 40s at one of his addresses, it was before he passed away, obviously, that he wanted a second Bill of Rights to ensure that no American had to, was it 33? Okay. Anyway, as I've studied that and researched it, that's something we need to be looking into. That's something that we should have had, you know? So FDR proposed a second Bill of Rights to ensure that we never end up in another crisis like the Great Depression again. Was it 44? Okay. Well, and here's the thing: the things that are happening right now will never get back to the way things were. We need to be realistic with our expectations. Thank you for watching my live for 300 minutes, SB. You're the best. Rescission of the gold clause. But I'm sorry, I got distracted. I got to reading Congress comments. Well, and signing of the federal, setting us up on the Federal Reserve also hurt as well. You know, I don't think that people understand the implications of some of the actions that they take. Yes, yes. Housing, education, healthcare, and economic stability. And like say, Winston Jordan, my friend Lisa's in here, and she's pretty sharp on that too. Ooh, how do we reverse the hatred and division? I think we just have to keep meeting people at a certain place, you know? I say this before I end every one of my lives, and I 100% mean this. We can disagree. We can have a disagreement. But that does, just because we disagree, that does not make you my enemy. We're still neighbors. And everybody needs to keep treating each other like we're neighbors, regardless of your race, your religion, your sexual orientation, any of that. We need to keep meeting people where they're at on a neighborly place. You know, it comes from when you're treating someone as a neighbor, you're treating them with a source of love, you know. And hate is learned. Thanks for the follow, Aria. Arya, did I say that right? Like Arya Stark? I got the reference. That's a good point, Lisa. If you start fixing some of the kitchen table issues, then I think you get rid of a lot of the hatred and everything. It's really hard to be angry and mad at somebody when you have food security and you're not worried about your car getting repossessed. You know? No, and you shouldn't either. And so I had a really close friend of mine. I'm not a Christian for those that I haven't told yet, but um, I had a real good friend. He was a Christian. His name was John Deere. He was a great guy. He never preached to me. We worked side by side for years together, and um, he never did preach to me. He never invited me to church. He was always an open ear. He was honest. He would listen to me. He would give me his opinion when I asked it. When I didn't, he wouldn't, you know. And we talked a lot about theology and things like that. And I told him one time, I said, dude, I said, let me tell you something. I said, if there was ever anybody that could convince me to come back to Christianity, it would probably be you. And he was like, that's a great compliment. And I was like, it should be. Because I'm definitely not. But if anybody could, it would probably be you. And it wasn't because he preached that he was a Christian. Everybody knew that he was a Christian. He didn't have to. It was the way he acted and the way he treated people. He never judged people for something that he didn't agree with. He met them with compassion, and he met them where they were. And he had a conversation with them, you know? And just being able to have a conversation with somebody shows wisdom. And it shows somebody that you care. You know, you really care about who they are and what they have to say. Did you quote Pac in here? What are you talking about? What did they do to Germany? No, you shouldn't ever deal with hate. And I say this a lot too, and it's funny, but it's true. Only Sith deals in absolutes. And I tell people that all the time when they're like, well, you can't like this person. I'm a diabetic, so people are always telling me what I can and cannot eat. They're like, well, you can't do that. I don't care if it's off topic or not. I love it. But yeah, just because I'm a diabetic doesn't mean I can't eat that pecan pie. What did they get while they were in there, though? I just have to eat an appropriate amount based on the amount of insulin that I take. Right? And yes, and bolus. Yes, I have to watch my bolus. Absolutely. I just have to count my carbohydrates properly. Now, I will say this: my mom made me a pecan pie for Thanksgiving, and I ate that whole damn thing, and I'm still here to talk about it. Oh, that's awesome, Espy. But I do. I mean, I don't know how much insulin um, I'm supposed to take for an entire pecan pie. I just know how much I took. Espy's chugging water. Hold on. There's something going on at my home. All right, guys, listen. I've been on here for 3 hours now. Plants, it doesn't necessarily work like that. However, I'm still here. I ended up having to take 3 separate shots because it won't let you take so much, only so much at a time. Yeah, I need to spend some time with mine too. Hey, Andrew, I appreciate you being in here, man. And I know, Bobby, I shouldn't have ate it, but that was my mom's not in great health right now. We just found out she's got cancer, and this is her 3rd bout with cancer. She has lymphoma of the blood. And Deadpool Lizzie, I'm glad you came in. Thanks for the follows, guys. I appreciate it. That's right. That's right, Boston. That's right. Oh, that's awesome, Jamie. Well, yeah, cancer's a bitch. This is her 3rd bout with it. We don't know the prognosis yet. I mean, I just found out last week, and then the biggest problem is she's overweight. She's immobile. She basically lives out of her wheelchair, and she's elderly. Her body's just running down on her, and I don't know how much of a fight she has left in it. Oh shit! I got 100K. So no, I understand. I hope I gave you inspiration for content, Nikki. Phoenix Tears. I will look that up, actually. Yeah, I will. Never went to the man. That's a bad thing too. Thanks for the follows, guys. I appreciate it. That's a bad thing too. So many people have something that could be. No, you're Venus. You're fine. It's not a downer. I mean, that's life. So many people, and then it goes back to what I initially started this live talking about, which was healthcare and the healthcare cost and the issues that we have with not having universal healthcare in this country. People can't afford to go to the doctor, or they can afford it, but they're afraid it's going to put their family out of so much money that they don't. And then by the time they eventually end up going to the doctor, it's too late. Whereas, if we had a good healthcare system, a universal healthcare system where it's not putting people into bankruptcy. So I'll be honest with you right now, if I were to get diagnosed as having cancer, I don't know what I would do, because I can't afford all the treatment. Ugh. Yeah, it's way too much. It is. One of the reasons why I went back to work as a maintenance man, we have a business. My wife and I have a business. that we run, and we were doing all right. It was just healthcare costs were just so high, needed to supplement with something. So I went back to work. Damn, Stoner, you probably kind of like me. You're gonna have to call in half day on your day of your funeral. You know, um, but and we talk about how do we get rid of the division and hatred and things like that when people are healthy, when people aren't scared that they're not going to be able to buy their groceries or buy their medicines. That adds added anxiety into our system. You know, um, she's got to do some more testing to see how advanced it is right now. It actually showed up. She had breast cancer 20 years ago. She went through that, survived that, and everything. And then she ended up having skin cancer later, about 10 years later. And then, um, and then what looked like skin cancer was coming back on her face. And, dude, that's wild. And then they went and got it checked out, and it was the lymphoma of the blood, and it was just showing in her face. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I remember my sister called me specifically and said, I need you to go with mom to have her biopsy done on the cancer on her face. And I was like, okay, I can handle this. I've seen some pretty crazy shit in my time. If anybody should have some sort of weird PTSD, I think it would be me. But I don't. I tend to handle that stuff pretty well. Um, However, there's nothing more traumatizing than sitting there holding your mother's hand while she's awake and alert and looking at you and watching a doctor cut a chunk out of flesh out of her face. That's my mom. I mean, like, I don't know if there's another person that I'm more empathetic to than my mother. And just sit there and smile. Oh, it's fine, mom. It's fine. It was terrible. It was terrible. Absolutely terrible. But hey, here's the thing, guys. We all go through hardships. We all go through bad times. It's I appreciate that. We all go through these tragedies, and that's kind of that circle of life deal where we don't realize until it happens to us. I didn't realize until my dad passed away that what all that meant. Um, it's part of the natural order of things. I have to survive the grief of losing my father, just like I'm going to have to survive the grief of losing my mother, because one of these days my kids are going to have to survive the grief of losing me. You know, and look, they're going to be losing a lot when they lose me. That's a joke. That's a joke. It's a terrible joke, uh, but for real though, that's the price we pay. You do. I have a great story about that. When my grandfather had Alzheimer's, and he lived with us when I was a kid up until uh, I was in the sixth grade. We ended up having to move him to a nursing home because I come from a family of giant men. I have an uncle that's 6'9". They're just big people. You think about a 78-year-old man with Alzheimer's who worked hard his entire life, who was over 6 feet tall. He's a monster compared to the rest of the people around. We could not control him. He was like a young bear. Alzheimer's messes with your hormones a lot. He was strong, like he was strong like a 40-year-old man. So we ended up having to put him in a nursing home, and it killed my dad. And I was there when they took him. And then I never forget. It was October 12th, and the only reason I know that is because NASA was coming to our school, and my dad shows up in the hallway, and the counselor called me out, and my dad came and picked me up because my papa had died, and I loved my papa, and my dad never cried in front of me that day. He was like, I was crying, trying to hug him. He's like, we've got work to do. We'll cry later. And I was like, oh fuck, okay, I guess. So we went to the funeral home and we made arrangements. We went to the barber and we got haircuts, and then we did all these things and got everything in order to bury my papa. And uh, later that night, my dad came in and gave me a hug, and we both cried, and we had a big cry. And but that day it was all business. We took care of business. And then when my dad passed away, I was like, oh God, fuck, what am I supposed to do? I didn't know what to do. And I thought back and I was like, wait, dad showed me exactly what to do. I had that memory of doing all those things with him when my papa died. And I woke my son up and took him, and I was like, we've got a lot of stuff to do today. And I let him cry a little bit. And I told him, I said, we got a lot of work to do, bud. And so we went and did that. And he saw how I handled that on up until that point, until my mother passes away, the most devastating day of my life. So he has an example set, you know. And I think that's all that we can do with our kids is fill their toolbox up with as much useful knowledge as we can give them, because we won't always be there, you know. Anyway, guys, sorry I told you all that depressing ass story, but it's true though, you know. I mean, that's how we raise good humans, is we take them with us in the toughest of times, and show them the example. We show them how to do it, even when it's hard. The teaching never stops, you know. So, but anyway, guys, I appreciate all the likes, the follows, the gifts. You guys spoil me way too much. I'm gonna try to get back on here tomorrow. I'm gonna start trying to go live a little more regularly on this account. Try to build it back up. I may go live on my main account. I don't know. If you don't follow me there, it's basically the same thing. T-Dub Specials. If you look that up. Awesome, SB. SB keeping track for me. I would greatly appreciate it. If you guys get bored sometimes, I also do a podcast. You guys are more than welcome to come in there, give it a like. You don't even have to give it a like. Just give it a listen and tell me what you think about it. If it's trash, I'll just try to do better, okay? Oh, thanks, Boston. I appreciate it, man. I'm glad you found us too. It's been entertaining. And subscribe. Yes, you can always subscribe, but let me know. I want to make things better. I want it to be entertaining for you. I just did a podcast with a gentleman. His name's Trevor, but he goes by the handle of League of Militant Atheists. Super intelligent guy. He's also a fellow vet, and I really enjoyed that podcast. It was a good talk. I learned a lot, and I had a good talk. So Host is a car thief. I did steal a car one time accidentally. I'll tell y'all that at another time, though, guys. But like I say, I appreciate you guys coming in. And it was an accident. I didn't mean to steal a car. I was a kid. Anyway, guys, remember, just because we disagree doesn't mean we're enemies. We're all neighbors. Treat everybody like your neighbor. We'll do all right. Y'all have a good one. The most transparent administration. Fucking hell, man. Oh, shit, I gotta stop this. Oh, I almost forgot I was streaming in here. Damn it.